The scar, that tick-tocked. Have you ever had a scar that itched? For Alina, it wasn't just an itch. It was a warning of something far worse beneath the surface. Alina had always hated the scar on her arm. A souvenir from a childhood accident, it stretched jagged and pale across her forearm, a reminder of a day she'd rather forget. But one night, the scar wasn't just a mark anymore. It became alive. It started with a faint itch as Alina lay on her couch, scrolling through her phone. At first, she ignored it, scratching absent-mindedly while watching videos. But the itch grew sharper, more insistent, and soon she couldn't think about anything else. She rubbed the scar harder, trying to soothe it, but then she felt something strange, a vibration beneath her skin. Frowning, she pressed her fingers against the scar, and her heart sank. The scar wasn't just itching, it was ticking, a faint, rhythmic pulse like a clock. Alina sat up, panic prickling at the edges of her thoughts. She pressed on the scar again, harder this time. It felt hollow, like there was a space beneath her skin. The ticking grew louder with every second, a steady beat that echoed unnaturally through the silence of her apartment. She grabbed her phone to record it, thinking she was losing her mind. But as she hit record, the sound abruptly stopped. The silence that followed was suffocating. Alina held her breath, waiting, listening. And then she heard it again. But it wasn't coming from her arm anymore. It was coming from down the hall. The hallway stretched, dark and empty, lit only by the faint glow of her bedroom light. Alina's pulse quickened as she took slow, deliberate steps toward the sound. It was louder now, resonating through the floorboards. It wasn't just a ticking anymore. It was a low, mechanical hum, like gears grinding together. She pushed open the door to her bedroom and froze. The ticking was coming from her dresser drawer. Her stomach churned as she reached for the handle, half expecting something to jump out. But when she pulled it open, all she found was an old wristwatch, one she didn't recognize. Its face was cracked, and its hands spun wildly, ticking faster and faster as she stared at it. Alina reached out to touch the watch, but as her fingers grazed the surface, the ticking stopped completely. The silence was deafening, pressing in on her from all sides. She held her breath, waiting for something to happen. Then she felt it, a sharp, searing pain in her arm. She looked down, horrified to see her scar splitting open. From the jagged wound, something metallic began to emerge. It was a thin, gleaming wire, uncoiling like a snake from beneath her skin. Alina screamed, clawing at her arm, but the wire just kept coming, wrapping itself around her wrist like a shackle. The lights in her room flickered violently as the watch on the dresser began to tick again, louder than ever. And then, the ticking stopped once more. In the silence, a voice spoke, low and mechanical. "Time's up!" The wire tightened around her wrist, pulling her arm forward as the room seemed to collapse around her. The last thing she saw was the watch face, glowing faintly in the dark, before everything went black. Alina woke up the next morning on her couch, drenched in sweat. Her arm throbbed, and when she looked down, the scar was back, perfectly healed, as if nothing had happened. But the ticking still echoed faintly in her ears, and she couldn't shake the feeling that something had been left unfinished. To this day, she won't go near old clocks or watches. She says it's because she can still hear them ticking, a warning she can't escape. And every night, as she drifts off to sleep, she checks her arm, wondering if the wire will come back. What would you do if your own body turned against you? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that will keep you on edge.